Hi everyone, welcome to another fun and exciting Iron Mike FAI GT Sport stream. What is it? Tuesday and Wednesday. What a week in racing at Zabuku N200 cars and manufacturers in the Group 4 manufacturers cars. So starting off in Zabuku in the Comfort Soft cars, did a bit of practice and gave it a good attempt in qualifying and ended up in 5th place. Oh, I thought we were going to see the whole race. Alright, nothing really happened, so up to lap 16. Ronald McDank was getting a little bit untidy and falling back, so I get past him into 4th place. But I think he was having none of that. And watch the dive bomb. You know, admittedly I did give a bit of a gap there, but I thought this was a bit unnecessary. But, you know, continue on. No harm. Oh, hang on. There is harm done. I've got 4-second penalty. I was pretty annoyed at that. So I thought, right, I'm going to serve my 4 seconds and everyone's going to get past me. But a few other people had penalties to pay as well. So lose 1 position, and looks like that's as bad as it got. So this is the end of the race now. That's how exciting the Nations Cup was. So started 5th and finished 6th. Not too bad. That was my only race. Wasn't prepared to do it again. It could only get worse. 62 points. Meh. Alright, so next day. Hang on, wait. Oh, thank God that's over. Yeah, doing a bit of practice on the Red Bull. I was feeling pretty comfortable. But again, I've had doubts and nerves. And so I've gone back to my usual start at the back. A few weeks ago I did a race in the Red Bull track and started last and finished 3rd. So that was sort of giving me a bit of hope. But again, having 5 races available, I thought if my strategy doesn't work, I will have another shot, of course. There's Oz Soul Reaper, a mate of mine. Magic's here. There's another one. So this race is a Group 3, sorry, I think I said Group 4. It's a Group 3 race, and the compounds available are soft, medium and hard, but you have to at some point put on the hards. So I'd been practicing a bit and was a bit lost on, you know, using a soft but only short term, or using a medium and going a bit longer. I was a bit lost. And working alongside Big Bruce the Shark, he was recommending soft for a good part of the beginning, have about 1 or 2 laps on hard, and then finish it off on soft. So soft, hard, soft. And that was originally going to be my plan, but considering, I thought, you know, I'm just going to sit at the back. I thought I'll go hard first, and then pit, and finish it off on softs. That means I only have to do 1 pit stop, and we'll see where we go. So I tried my hardest to start at the back, but for some reason I got 2 other guys who, maybe through penalties, they failed to put down a time. So starting on hards, we'll see how we can go. And usually, you know, obviously my nerves are kicking off, and I'm hoping other people will clash and fall behind. So off we go with 17 laps to go. Hope you're going to enjoy the ride. So with the small screen in the bottom right hand corner, we've got the like the 3rd person view, or maybe side camera view, of course. And look, I'm just going too wide. That's the nerves. I should know better than to go that far out, but it's when you're surrounded with other people, I'm too scared to brake too early, and then I just get too nervous, and then I lose track of where I'm meant to be braking. So full back to 19th, and I'm really surprised I didn't fall back to 20th. So far so good. It's not panning out to be an absolute nightmare where I'm falling behind drastically. Just trying to keep it clean. And just watching ahead. Yep, so we've got people getting a bit loose and fighting, penalties occurring, and the cars are now bunching up, of course. And this just gives me an opportunity to short shift up to save fuel. That's the other plan of mine. Wherever I can, I'll just put the gears up, but also to just settle down a bit. When the pace is really fast, my nerves begin to race. So moving up, so we're on my 15th now. So this is lap 1. This is looking alright. Getting a bit lost on the gears here, I think. So you'll see here I'm planning to just sit behind original Ghost, so I put it up into 6th gear, even if this guy on the right is planning to overtake. And again here I'll just short shift a little bit. I just want to make sure I'm in that slipstream still. Don't want to lose that. So heading up into the braking zone, I'll just put it into 6th, just to sort of coast in and save some fuel. Keep it in 2nd. I was surprised on this corner that I wasn't spinning out the car. I've got no traction control on. I don't know if I've flicked my settings through, but so traction control is 0, fuel mix is 1, and my brake balance on hards, it might be on just 1. I think it is on 1. I could move it to maybe -1, but considering the distance I'm going, I didn't want the fronts wearing out too much. So even here I'm sort of questioning, why am I sliding a lot? This is not going to do my tyres too good. There's Slopfester again. Gives me a bit of a tap. I wasn't happy with that, but seems to have backed off. And I'm just making sure I'm sticking in that slipstream of original Ghost. I think I'm starting to learn to just defend my position a bit more. In the past, I'd just stick to the side and almost give people positions. I'm just starting to learn to just subtly stay in the middle of the road and just move a little bit to hold your line. And what am I thinking at the moment? During the race, I'm thinking to myself, well, I am moving up and I'm keeping up with cars in front of me, and I'm on hard, so really what I'm thinking is I'm hoping that these guys are all on softs and they're just going to be burning them up. And of course, if this strategy doesn't work and I just fall behind, like I said, I've got other races to do, and we'll see how it goes. To here in 6th gear, just doing everything I can to save fuel, because I think the Alpha could probably, if I race properly, would be just maybe a little bit shy of 17 laps. But I didn't want to I didn't want to fall short with fuel. So any opportunity, I couldn't believe this situation. Even Original Ghost just lets me past. Didn't defend it at all. But every time I would gear up to save fuel, it was just adding that little extra fuel for me for later in the race. Yeah, I was a bit disappointed in myself in that move. And he gets a penalty. Naughty Mike. I mean naughty Iron Mike. It was probably around here. I'm thinking there's a pack of cars behind me. They've all seen me sideswipe this D-khaki and they're out for me. I just felt bad for this guy. But moving on, 13th place. And lap 4. So the plan is to go to about I think it's about lap 10. And my tyres are looking good. It's just all that sliding too early in the race I'm not happy with, because I'm concerned that I'll just start cooking my tyres. And luckily for me, again, maybe like the other Red Bull race where I did really well, things just seem to fall into place. Like, you know, you'll have someone in front of you that you pass, and then bang, before you know it, you've got someone else right in front of you to grab their slipstream and toe the line, pull you along. So it looks like Where's William 2 has just paid a penalty, so he's just slowing up a touch. So we're on lap 5. I started 18th and I'm already in position 11, so doing okay. I don't know if I was aware of what position I was in. Obviously I could see position 10 is in front of me, but not too sure if I was putting the connection there. I think I remember in lap 6 I was nervous still. My legs were still a bit like jelly. Okay, so Run Rabbit Run was pitting in. That's why he pulled aside and got out my way. So now I've got Ronald McDank, the guy who dive bombed me in the Nations, who seems like he has a tendency to be a little bit dirty, and I was very cautious of him, and I thought, well, you've got a half-second penalty, so here I'll go up to 6th gear. Yep, good. And I thought, I'm just going to sit behind. Sit behind. No, I'm not going to. That was the plan, to sit behind him and wait for him to pay his. But luckily, that half-second penalty gets him away from me. Now the McGanns seem to do okay on this track. Obviously there's a lot of curves that the McGann can handle quite well, same as the Sirocco. A bit like the Sedegna race the other week. They just grip really well. I think it's because they got a low centre of gravity, so they hug the road really well. Having to slow down there a bit. Look at that, so many people are pitting on lap 6. So it's put me up at the moment to 3rd place. just like that. I can't even remember what position I was in before the pit entry. So Red Dragon's pulled out of the pits, putting me back into 4th place. And I'm trying to think if he's in the Sirocco. Yeah, I think he is. So it looks like he's got hards on, like myself, but he's a fresh. Looks like his plan is to go right to the end now. Whereas I'm still yet to pit and put my softs on. And that's the concern. If everyone else is pitted, they'll have fresh tyres, hard, medium or soft, I don't know, but one can only guess everyone will be catching up soon and passing me, and then I've got to pit and I'll be falling behind. So I just couldn't believe I was in 4th place. So I just had to hang on to Red Dragon's slipstream and make the most of it. So just finished 7 laps, we've got 10 laps to go. And again, I'll be pitting lap 7. Not lap 7, lap 10, sorry. And my tyres so far, they're hanging in there, they're still looking pretty good. So I could go further with the hards, but I just don't think there's a need for it. And then we've got Step Aside Junior, just really putting on the brakes there. It slowed me up, and so I've got Oz Soul Reaper, a mate of mine, and Magic's here, right up on my tail. And I've still got another 2 laps to go on these hards. So I'll put my indicator on here and just let Oz Soul Reaper through, because I know he'd been in the pits. I knew he was in front of me a few laps ago, so I knew obviously he's pitted if he's behind me. And then also I noticed there's Magic's here is behind me too, and I thought, well, I'll let you through as well. We're obviously running separate races here, so, and I've got a penalty to boot, so let those 2 guys go. Oh, and Step Aside Junior needs to pit, and yet he's out on the outside. That's clever. So that drops me down to 5th place. We've got Oz Soul Reaper and Magic's here. Let them through. And I've got a half-second penalty to pay. Luckily they're only half-second ones though. Could be worse. I think for me, you can see on the map top right, you can see there's a hell of a gap between myself and 6th place Wonkers. Obviously because they've all pitted. So am I the only one who hasn't pitted yet? I have no idea. Yeah, you can see there, you can start to feel my tyres a bit. It's funny, it's around this point when you start to experience that, you start second guessing your strategy, and you think, should I come in now? But I knew if I come in now, I'll be having the same problem with my softs. The longer I'm out, the better off it is for my soft tyres. I didn't want to be in this position on lap 17 with a heap of people behind me. So I needed to just A, believe in myself, and B, I was just keeping an eye on the split times, and if people were catching it pretty hard and fast, then I may have, and there's another penalty. So I just took a gamble and stuck it out there. So this should be my in lap now. Still got plenty of breathing room behind me, but again I will be pitting. I think I missed it. I think Wonka's pitted, so I'm up in a 4th place. So at this point, this is where I really need to try and control the split between myself and Wonka's. You know, try and give myself as much time as possible so I can pit and get out. And I hope there aren't too many people in front of me when I come out of the pits. It's not easy to be racing in FIA, keeping an eye on people in front of you, behind you, your tyres, your fuel, and I don't think I ever really look at that map up the top to work out when to pit. I usually have a predetermined lap before the race, and that's a lap that I stick to. So in I go, come off the hards, put the softs on, plenty of fuel. So I've got 7 laps to go, and I think that was saying 8.6 laps worth of fuel. So I've still got to be mindful of fuel. You can't just go crazy from this lap onwards. So coming into the pits in 4th and coming out in 8th place. And I've got myself a little McGann just coming up the left hand side, and I'm assuming he's pitted a few laps ago, so shouldn't be that hard to try and get away from him. Oh, he's got a penalty, so he's fallen away. Right, it's time to try and catch up. Get back to my original break points. I'm on softs now, so should be able to push harder. Now I've got another mate of mine, Gingerbread Man, in front of me. And this is the point where you start getting lost on when did people pit and what did they put on. I'm just looking at the gap coming down. You see here, I'm coming in pretty quick, so I didn't know, but Gingerbread Man plans on pitting. Oh, sorry mate, I didn't know. I thought he was slow enough to let me pass. So maybe someone further up has pitted, so I've moved up into position 6. And now my softs are fresh, so it's time to start pushing. So Wonka's, he's 4.2 seconds ahead. It's down to 4 seconds. You see there, I remember thinking, oh, my brake balance. So my brake balance was set at +1 for the hards, and I thought, oh no, I need to adjust for the soft, so put it up to +2. Just check the fuel. So it looks like 6.3 seconds, 6.3 laps. and I've got 5 laps to go, so I've got 1 extra lap of fuel up my sleeve. So now some people are going in for a second pit, which for me seems a bit costly unless you absolutely get it right. So here we go. Here's so I'm in 5th place. Here's Magic's here. I think he recognises a few laps ago I let him pass. So he looks like he just does the same. So Magic's here. Thanks, mate. Wonkers goes a bit wide. Now for some reason I thought Magic's here was behind me at this moment. It's actually Wonkers. So down here I actually go a bit wide just to let him go through. Bang. And then I realise it's not Magic's here, it's Wonkers. So I thought, okay, I'll have that position back at some point, thanks. And I could see I had Magic's here and Soul Reaper behind me. And Wonkers goes a bit wide, looks like his tyres are going a bit off. So I make the pass again. So momentarily I'm in 2nd place now from 18th. But it looks like Red Dragon's coming out of the pits. And so we've got I Am the Stig up in 1st place. He did pole, so he's got himself back in the 1st place. Red Dragon in 2nd, and I'm in 3rd still, with Wonkers sort of buffering me against Oz Soul Reaper and Magic's here. So at the moment and I did notice I think it's around here. I think Wonkers goes in a bit hard. And it gets a bit ugly behind. I think that was Oz Soul Reaper just stuffing up his corner. So that's given me a lot of breathing space now, and I just couldn't believe it. We're on lap 14 and I'm in 3rd place. And at this moment I'm really thinking, right, it's time to start charging forward. My softs are looking still pretty good. It's time to move forward on these two, and I'm hoping that they'll start battling and slowing each other up. And it looks like I am actually closing up on them. So this was 1st race of the day, and I thought, you know, if I don't do too well, I'll race again until I find a strategy that works. But at this moment, lap 15, I'm just at a loss. You can see the obviously 3.5 seconds split between me and Wonkers. And it was just hold it together. I just kept watching Red Dragon and I Am the Stig. Just looking for them two. I was just looking at my fuel there. Just watching them two to hopefully they battle it out. I mean, they are very close to each other there. And I know for me, Red Dragon isn't 100% the cleanest racer out there. And I think it was in qualifying. I think it was I Am the Stig. I think gave someone a little bit of what for, saying get out my way. So I don't think he's really in the mood for any direct competition. So here he is with I mean, this was a golden opportunity for me. He's got a half-second penalty, but you know what, at this point I actually thought, you know, I'm just going to stick behind him. He's been in first place quite a bit. Oops. And also, I didn't know what would happen if I got in front of him. I'm not saying he's dirty, but he's been leading so much for this race. So for now I thought, you know, I'm not gonna, it's too early to be challenging. He's a good driver, and he's been doing well so far. So you'll see here he has to pay his half-second penalty. I get past him, but I put my indicator on to say, you know, go around me. So down here I break a touch early and I go out wide. Just let him through again. I thought if things are going to kick off, I don't want to be seen as a bad guy. I don't know why he gets another penalty, but he does. He must be kicking himself. So again, at this point, I'm thinking to myself, well, there's only so much I can do to help you out. So once we come up to the penalty line, there's not much I can do. I've just got to go for it now. And for some reason I've got my eye on him and I'm distracted and I go out wide. So what does that mean? I get a half-second penalty. I need that Rip Doc Ed footage of everyone slapping their forehead. And this is not good. It's a final lap. Luckily there's a lot of room behind us, and having overtaken the Stig, he would have seen there's a hell of a gap behind us. So I think even himself and me, we sort of back off and take it easy. So there's no problem there with letting him get past. Now I've got to serve my half-second penalty. And it's probably here I just begin to settle down a bit. I'm not going to go for any crazy moves on I'm the Stig. And by this time Red Dragon's probably about 4 seconds ahead. So I'm just watching my times. Oz Soul Reaper, who's now behind me, that looks about 5-second gap. That's incredible. I just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe from 18th. And I think I've said it before, guys, it's obviously picking the right strategy, keeping it clean, and keeping out of trouble as best as you can. So final corner now. There was no reason for me to try and go for a silly move there, so we're just going to party mode now. Hazards on, and enjoying the moment. Oh, I couldn't believe it. So that was my only race. Didn't think I'd do any better than third, so I thought I'd leave it at that. Alright, start the party. So from 18th to 3rd, up 15 places, 64 points. I'm happy with that. Look forward to seeing your streams again, guys, and see you in the next one.